Here at the Fine Arts Museums for the exhibition downstairs, Asian American Modern Art Shifting Currents 1900 to 1970. And I'm very, very proud to welcome you all today to today's panel discussion presented by the Association of Asian American Women Artists, AAWAA. I wanted to make a few introductory remarks that talk about the project, but also talk about AAWAA. First, I want to mention that the exhibition at the museum is part of a larger collaborative effort to bring attention to Asian American art and artists here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And the museum produced a magazine insert that I hope all of you have seen that lists, there, some of you are holding it up, great, that lists many of the exhibitions that are being presented at the same time, and I hope you will have the opportunity to check some of them out. I've been working with AAWAA and a number of the artists listed in that publication, and we were gathering materials, and there were several meetings that many of the people in this room participated in. And then when the final thing was published, a friend of mine, not in the room today, sent me an email saying, oh, well, there's a few things that didn't make it into the brochure. And one of the things that didn't make it into the brochure was an exhibition of the work of Flo Oi Wong. And Flo is one of the founders of AAWAA, and so it was a big embarrassment to me that she had certainly made that information available. She's not the person who told me even that it was missing, so I had to find out from a third person. But I want to just dedicate these brief opening remarks to Flo Oi Wong, and also to recognize that Betty Cano, another founding member of AAWAA, is here with us today. So thank you for your important work. And I said I wanted to talk about these two projects, and I was inspired and saddened this week to think about the legacy of the great singer Odetta, who was such a big part of my own life. I remember her singing in 1963 at the Washington March, at the March on Washington, and it was part of that inspiration, I think, that civil rights was maybe one of the most important issues of our lifetime to work on when I was a little kid. And on the New York Times website right now, there's an interview with Odetta just before she passed away. And at that time she said, well, there were two great rivers that came together, and she got to be at the confluence of these two great rivers. And one was the emergence of an interest in an American vernacular music, folk music, but the other was the emergence of consciousness of civil rights. And she happened to be there as these two came together. And it struck me as we were getting ready for today's panel that the exhibition that's being displayed downstairs and AAWAA are in a way these two rivers that have been on a parallel course for about 20 years. AAWAA was founded in 1989 by Betty and Flo and artists coming together, and the current research project that is the base of the exhibition that is presented, we started in 1989 also. So I was inspired when we first started gathering material that Betty's article on Hisako Hibi, Noreen Nishimura, Young Soon Min, and Miran An was one of the first articles that became the basis for historicizing Asian American artists in a contemporary art historical kind of context. In my own, I moved to San Francisco State in 1994, and very early on we decided, in fact during my interview, we even said, let's bring this research about Asian American art to San Francisco State. And part of that very first meeting in 1994 was Irene Poon and Don Nakanishi, who are, Don is here someplace there she is. So as we look at that show downstairs and we remember hosting the meeting of AAWAA with Karen Higa in the gallery, and Don and Diane were part of that first kind of manifestation that is the foundation for the current show. Again, AAWAA was central to the project that we see now on display downstairs. And also, as we've been moving forward with all of this planning for this show, I have to say Cynthia Tom has been unbelievably dynamic and strong and a real great inspiration. So even the current project is really indebted to AAWAA. And so then as we're thinking about, well, why is it that there's this long connection, and we think about people like Hisako Hibi, who takes us back into that golden age of activity that is the 1920s and 1930s. I did a walkthrough earlier that some of you were able to listen to, and I was trying to stress that there was this incredible energy in the 1920s and 1930s when there was really xenophobic, racist hostility toward the artists of Asian ancestry. And they created their own opportunities to exhibit and even petitioned museums to show their work. So the East-West Art Society in 1921 presented an exhibition in Japantown and then used it as a springboard to petition the new San Francisco Museum of Art to present an exhibition, which they did. And in 1922, there was a great exhibition of the East-West Artist Society at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. The Chinese Art Association petitioned the De Young Museum in 1935 and presented exhibitions for a period of 10 years here at the De Young. So part of this history that we have unearthed is that there is a great history of artist organized collectives that have created opportunities. But I don't think there's any that can boast a 20-year history. So even though we know of these precursors, and they might have been active for a maximum of 10 years, A was the best. It's the longest living. It's created the most opportunities. And it links, I think, the past to the present. I'm very honored that you've all come today. I know it's going to be a wonderful program.